Hello, Gemini, and welcome back to Mind, Body, and Heart Tower Therapy. Sorry, I'm always amused how my voice comes out when I start these videos. All right, Gemini, so let's see what's going on with you on this month of March. So this is a general reading for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. If it resonates, it resonates, and if it doesn't, then it's just not your reading. Hope you're well, Gemini. I still have Mercury in retrograde in Pisces. So yeah, it's affecting you a lot as well as it affects Pisces because Gemini, Mercury is your ruling planet, right? So you may feel a little bit exactly like this, yes. A little bit confused, maybe lightheaded, daydreaming, that type of energy. Yeah, a lot of daydreaming probably. It's not easy to stay focused on daily tasks or just, I don't know, more like what's usually your element, which is, I don't know, thinking, quick thinking and very earthly intelligence, but not intelligence as information, more like, wittiness. All right, let's see what's the challenge that's coming with this. Okay. The moon is, of course, confusion and fears that may pop out from the sea of the unconscious, whatever you haven't yet incorporated or integrated into your conscious awareness. That type of stuff may pop out and make you somewhat uncomfortable. But here you go, you have the sun as focus. So, wow, the moon and the sun right next to each other. You have the sun as your focus. You're probably going to bring a lot of things to light now. So that's a really good opportunity. Especially what's from this space of daydreaminess and engaging with your emotions and intuition. Right, let's see what's your advice, Gemini. Nice. 9 of Cups is your advice. Okay, don't know what that was, but went back. All right, still advice. 5 of Pentacles is your advice. As your future energy, sorry, this is your advice. Interesting. All right, so you have the 9 of Pentacles as the underlying energy theme of your reading, theme of this month for you. Independence. I'm going to put the clarifiers before we go deeper into this. Okay, if you want to. The King of Cups with the 7 of Cups as your current energy. I saw it earlier. The 2 of Wands with the Moon as your challenge. I saw this one earlier too when I was pre-shuffling the cards. These two and these two. 2 of Pentacles, right, as your focus with the Sun. 10 of Wands with the 9 of Cups as your advice. And the Queen of Pentacles with the 5 of Pentacles as a future energy. Well, that is very interesting. I think that I know where that's going. All right, and bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Cups with the 9 of Pentacles as your, the theme of this reading and this month of April. Yeah, my eyes rest on the bird now. In order for this lady to get what she's at right now, which is her own garden, wearing like, silks and expensive stuff, and enjoying her leisure time with this bird, she had to tame her impulses the same way she tamed this bird. And this is a pretty cruel process, actually. If you ever heard or found any information about how do people actually train birds, like in Mongolia they use eagles for hunting. And anyway, there's, I guess, more cultures that traditionally train birds. And the taming of a bird starts with exactly this: blindfolding it. You see, it's like, boom, not allowing them to see. So they keep them hungry for a good time, and then they blindfold them so they don't freak out indoors or wherever they are. And then they feed them, in some key moments, I suppose, before they go completely hungry or dying or whatever, in order to use them with the same, like, the smell of the person and the same person all the time. So everything is incredibly controlled and very intense. For some of you that might that doesn't bother you, it doesn't matter, I don't know, but some people can be very sensitive to this. I honestly don't appreciate it that much. What is very important is to look at that aspect of this card. Yes, you probably had to toughen up every once in a while, and you had to maybe close down parts of yourselves that were maybe too wild, or maybe didn't fit in the in your daily routine, in order for you to keep focused and work hard and get where you are right now. With the Ace of Cups here, I think that what's really important and necessary is to come back to this part of you that you've been really strict with and show it some love. Allow yourself to open up to those parts of you that you had to shut down at some point in your life. And there may be anger there. There may be some type of victimhood mentality stuck somewhere there, because this bird is a victim of sorts. Even though it gets trained and there's maybe a bond being created eventually, that happens with a lot of harshness. So being that, yeah, I hope you get the analogy, right? I did explain as much as well as I could. You really need to get access to those parts of yourself that you had to blindfold and be very strict with. And yeah, congratulations, some people don't go there. Some people don't manage to go this far, to get where you at right now, based on willpower and how do you say, skill, really, like how developing a method of working with yourself, even though maybe it was harsh. Okay, I'm gonna give a very, I don't know, an example. It just came to mind. For example, some people can have the goal to lose a lot of weight in a short time for whatever reason. So they can be very harsh with themselves and have a very strict schedule and trick themselves into not feeling hungry or feeling fulfilled after eating close to 0 calories or whatever. And they do get to the desired result eventually, but they have to be very strict, and that's like far from being nurturing and self-loving. No judgment there. I mean, like, yeah, we sometimes this priorities can have very different nuances in different lives based on the type of trauma we suffer and the type of life we lead. If it's that type of person, if you are the type of person that maybe had done this and you got to that desired result, maybe now it's time to, like, yes, I am where I wanted to be, but now it's time for me to really open up and to address the underlying issue and to address to create a routine that's much more nurturing and much more caring for myself, because there's not self-care to just get to the weight that I want because I have an idea of how I'm supposed to look, but putting my body and my spirit really through such a incredibly harsh I don't know, routine. So uh and some people have a really struggle with that. But like, yeah, I'm still on the food thing. This can be applied in so many other different things. This is just an example, so don't get stuck in the food example if that doesn't work for you. Get the general idea of like where you have to cut yourself short and really be incredibly strict with yourself, and how can you bring now love to those aspects of yourself that had suffered greatly in this process. Sometimes we may not even realize this. Like this card, for example, shows so much lavishness and joy. Everybody's envying this woman for, I don't know, her silks and the pentacles she's gathered there. It's a lot of fortune and luxury. But not many people know the story of this bird and how hard she had to work to get where she is. Nobody knows the scars. Nobody knows all that. And sometimes we don't want to look at them ourselves because we feel we're somehow tainted if we do, or if we share it with anyone, or if we even go there. There's so much pain trapped in there. Seven of Cups with the King of Cups as your current energy. As I said, I think this Mercury retrograde, if you're still seeing this, well, Mercury is still in retrograde, but you're going to have the post-shadow phase anyway. And it's going to take a while to integrate this. It's a great opportunity for you to really get in touch with the emotional side of yourself, which sometimes can be tough for you, Gemini, because, you know, being an air sign, you're very much relying on your mind to tell you the story of the world. When you're checking in with how you feel, you don't really go through your body, you go through your mind first. You hear the story about how you feel and then you feel it. Maybe. You know, it's just the way you process things, and it's fine. It's just how it is. But you know, we all have our like predilections. Maybe air signs tend to rely more on their minds. Water signs tend to rely more on their emotional intelligence. Fire signs tend to rely more on their intuition and passion. They're very intuitive to the cups, but it's a little bit different way of working with different type of intuition. And the pentacles are very reliant on their physical abilities and resources and ability to be industrious and this type of stuff, you know. And it's a great opportunity for you to expand a little bit how you perceive the world. This is why we have this Mercury retrograde, so that we can give our minds a break a little bit and go to access different aspects of ourselves. And I think with the Seven of Cups, yeah, you may feel dreamy, you may feel a little bit like in a weird place, and you may feel not very okay for you. Or maybe it is, it may be fun, maybe it's so you feel like you're a little bit on drugs, like you've been high for the past week or two. Which also can be a good or a bad experience, so I guess it depends from case to case. But with this King of Cups here, I think that you're learning a lot from this experience. You're learning how to master your emotions and how to feel them fully. And you see like the waters here tend to be quite wavery, but his throne is floating over it. So he feels every wave, but he's not going to be in any way bothered or deterred by any of these emotions, right? So you're feeling through, you're starting noticing what is also the emotional baggage you've been carrying. For example, not all the emotions that we're carrying on ourselves or in our body are necessarily great. Some of them, we have precious memories and precious emotional memories that we can return to. We can evoke certain emotions through a memory and say that I'm looking to find some nurturing or feeling melancholic a little bit. I think about, I know, my grandma that was used to cook me, I don't know what, or talk to me in I don't know what way, or whoever was a nurturing figure in your life. And just by remembering the company or the advice or the whatever of that person, you may feel you can evoke some of those emotions. Well, it can obviously be the other way too. We can evoke emotions that aren't particularly great based on our memories or based on our thinking pattern. I think this is a much more direct experience with your emotions. You're kind of like put in the position of like feeling them. Maybe you're not so used to it, and you're so sort of staring at it and like, okay, which cup is for me? What am I gonna get here? If I pick this one, what am I gonna experience? If I pick this one, what am I gonna experience? And there may be a little bit of feeling a little bit intimidated by this. So the King of Cups, I don't worry too much. I think that you're really mastering it, and you're learning kind of what you get to keep and what you get to let go. What is, because you can, by feeling them, you can allow some of them to linger or some of them to be just released. Realize that you are not your emotions. And if you feel bad in certain situations, doesn't mean you are bad. Yeah, I'm going different places. I think I'll stop here with that. I hope it makes sense to you. But being in this state opens doors, right? Doors to, as I said, our subconscious, our the dark side of the moon. I don't know why I said that, one of mine. Some people may have a reference there. To the fears having to do with our journey, having to do with what's in the shadow self, what's in the shadow side. And there's a lot having to do with this birth, the things that we had to suppress, the thing we had to shut down, the things that we just couldn't deal with them at the time. So we had to train ourselves in certain directions. Sometimes we need to redo that training, to let go of that programming. And I think you've got a choice here to make, and it's very difficult to make this choice right now about where you're taking this. I see here these two poles and these two ones right over here. These are towers, whatever. It's natural to feel fear in this type of position. You're not exactly in your element. A lot of things may rise up that you're not so familiar with because you're so good at training yourself, because your mind is really sharp and witty, and you know how to cope with things from a rational perspective. But this is not a rational time. This is a time for intuition. This is a time for feelings, emotions, and this type of connection that you're making. And I think you may have to take some decisions, and you could either act from fear, either act from faith. Having faith in your own intuition. The moon card can go both ways. Learning how to trust your intuition and to see kind of what's been hiding in the back of your head, in your subconscious mind, and notice also the illusions, noticing without necessarily believing everything that's there. Or it can be completely paralyzing and be terrified, like this little crab is there out, afraid to go out there because there's the dog and the wolf howling at the moon, and he's terrified of them, wants to take this journey, go all the way up there to the mountains, but he can't even make the first step. The wisdom of this is that these two that you're most afraid of, these actually symbolize the fears. They can become your allies if you befriend them. And it's not an easy task. Fucking hell, I've worked with fear and I've been carrying a lot of fear in my life. And at some point during the retreat, I was just starting feeling my emotions in the body. It was in the beginning of all that, and I didn't know why. I just couldn't breathe all down into my belly. My breath was locked somewhere in my chest. So it was my first silent meditation retreat. It was a very gentle one. It was really good. But yeah, even though I was somewhat excited, I was also terrified. And I was terrified of exactly this. What am I going to find into my subconscious mind? Because I knew that I had to suppress a lot of shit in order to keep myself functional. Oh, well, story, how it goes, it doesn't matter that much. What matters is that I was literally feeling I couldn't breathe down into my belly, and my diaphragm was completely blocked. And we were in the part, I think it was the third day of the meditation retreat, and it was starting going into the insight meditation. It was Vipassana. And the guidance was to investigate a little bit, kind of like Dharma investigation. They were trying to explain that concept to us. And I was investigating. I was like, okay, if I lie down, can I breathe in my belly? Still feels a little bit weird. And then I don't know, after this, that's it. Finished. We went like this for 1 or 2 sits in a row. And then I went for the walking meditation. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. Some of you don't. It doesn't matter. The structure of a Vipassana meditation retreat, if it's not at the Goenka Center, is generally that you have a meditation sit for 45 minutes or 1 hour, depends on the meditation retreat, and you have a 15 minutes to half an hour walking meditation, which is a really good practice. Look into it if you don't know about it. And in the walking meditation, that's when I realized that was fear. So I was feeling so blocked. I was feeling it in my body. And I remember that what came to me back then was that I'm going to walk with it. It's fine. And even though I was in Thailand, there were snakes, there were scorpions, there was a lot of deadly creatures there. I decided to walk. I was barefoot anyway. I decided to walk with my eyes closed. And before, I was terrified of this. I was like, oh my God, what if there's a snake? And actually, when I arrived in the area, somebody got bitten by a non-venomous snake, but still. So I had a lot of fear, which probably was very much justified. But I realized that in this case, probably I kept some of that fear in the body, and I didn't really relate to it. It was always present, but there was also fears about, I don't know, what am I doing with my life, and everything that was coming from my background and from the back of my mind and from subconscious and all that. So I decided to just walk with my fear. And I don't really visualize, but I imagine somehow that my fear is kind of like projected out of my chest and out of this area in my body where I felt it so heavy. And it kind of went in front of me. And I tried to just look at it. I was all with my eyes closed walking. But because I was walking, it kind of felt natural that my fear went by my side and started walking with me, and I almost felt as if it was holding my hand. And that's when I wasn't afraid anymore. That's when I just started like having a talk with my fear. What is this all about? And I realized there were two main fears, and I like that there are two dogs, two poles, and there's these two of ones here. There's the fear of death, and there's the fear of life. And when the fear of life becomes bigger, we start looking at death more friendly. And when the fear of death becomes bigger, we start looking at life more friendly. It's a weird complexion. It's a really interesting dynamics. Look into it. Investigate for yourself based on your own experience and your own past and actions and present and all that. I'm sure you may find it fascinating. But yeah, let's move on. I don't see it very heavy for you though. I think it's dreamy. I think it's going to be interesting. Some things will show up. The decision will need to be taken of what you're doing this information, where we're moving with this. And so the twos, there are two twos right next to each other. It's about duality. It's that whole being able to, and they both relate to the high priestess, being able to resolve dualities. Yeah, the two type of fears, the life or the death, duality of life and death, duality of, I don't know, mind versus emotions, or mind versus body, or good versus bad, this type of stuff. But I think it's all related to your life choices at this point, where you're moving forward. Because this person here is like, been taking, it's one struggling to make a choice, and he understands that he's kind of like, um, at the in the driver's seat here, he holds the hand, the whole earth in his hand, and he needs to choose. And I think he chose here, but it's up to you to see where is that taking you. Focus with the sun and the two of pentacles is that the sun talks about bringing from the shadow part something into the light. The moon illuminates just enough for us to see that there's shadows. It doesn't really show you much what's there. It's more like making you aware that there's something there. And it's up to your imagination sometimes to see what's there. Well, the sun brings it to light completely. And that's great. That's important, because that's sometimes a little bit of a process. We may like it, we may not. Shadow work is, I personally love it, because I know it heralds great. It has really, really great benefits. But when I'm doing it, I'm literally hating it. I'm hating every moment of it, because it's so triggering. You really go into places that you've been training all your life not to go, because you were told, or you've told yourself that that's bad, scary, evil, whatever. I bet on fear here. But here, yeah, we have the sun. You have the sun coming in. You allow, like, this kid is naked here. It allows for communication, for receiving messages from the divine. So you get your messages from your conscious, your subconscious, and you allow for this purity to come back. You allow your inner child to come out all the time, when actually we have these shadows, no matter how scary they look. What's hiding behind them, it's a part of me that I cut off during childhood, when I was telling myself, no, this can't be with me right now, because it pulls me down and I can't move forward. But that's not really letting go of something, that's cutting off something. And it usually happens at a very early age, maybe about this age of this child. So what we're discovering is that child. But if we treat this process with gentleness and kindness, we can free that child that's behind the other side of the shadow and integrate back into ourselves. So that's the process. With the Two of Pentacles, I think that you kind of juggling this one. You may have to do some very earthly tasks in the meanwhile, you know. Yes, it's Mercury retrograde, but we still need to go to work. Yes, it's retrograde in Pisces with all this Piscean energy and all this Neptunian uh, mysticism and you know, how to even call it. It's really hard to describe the Piscean and Neptunian energy. Boundless. And there it is here in the background. So you may have to kind of like cater to this child needs and allow these things to come to surface, and at the same time be functional, go to work, be I don't know, in your family, in your relationships, in your whatever, be present somehow. And it's not an easy thing to juggle, but I think that this being your focus and not your challenge, you probably can do this quite well. It's a little bit of a multitasking in there. You're just doing it gracefully, you know. And you see there are the ships here, and I think that means that you have support. You have friends there for you. You have, I don't know, if you have a partner, if you have family, whoever, you're okay. It is safe for you to go through this process. It is. And your advice is to really indulge in what you have. This person, see the Nine of Cups, is somebody who's had all his wishes fulfilled. I think it's important for you now to acknowledge that your wishes have been fulfilled. Look back, I don't know, 5 times in the past and look back where you are now, or 10 years, or what, 5, what I said, times, 5 years in the past, or 5, it doesn't matter. You choose the timeline. And realize that many of the things that you wished for yourself had come true, and some of that didn't. Maybe you don't want them anymore anyway. Maybe something else happened that's even more fulfilling somehow. What I was saying also earlier with evoking emotions based on your memories. Remember those moments of feeling nourished and feeling fulfilled and feeling loved and feeling seen, and you know, when your needs have been met, and sit with them a little bit. That will really help you in that selection process of what is it that you want to cultivate and keep in terms of emotions and what is it that just needs to be released, and you realize that it's not really serving you. And with this is like, it brings us to this 10 of Wands, which is going to is realizing when do you need to let go of all this pack of things, heavy things you've been carrying on your shoulders. Maybe you don't need to go through that type of behavior anymore. You don't need to be so harsh on yourself. It's definitely not with this Ace of Cups here. There's an opening that happens, and that opening allows you to end this cycle. This is a 10 of Wands, a spiritual cycle, and allow yourself to unburden yourself. Maybe you've been carrying some responsibility from very long time ago, maybe from since you were a child. Maybe this is what you're afraid of. Sometimes we kind of grow up taking in or assuming we have certain types of responsibility. We see, for example, that our parents fight all the time. If we feel responsible to mediate that somehow, or to, if you see that our parents are kind of like neglecting us and neglecting themselves, maybe we feel the need to take care of them. And we feel that that's our responsibility. Or maybe with We've seen abuse in the family. We feel the need to defend the one that's being abused. Or, like all kinds of things that can be internalized from a very young age. We may have felt responsibility for a younger sibling, or, there's so many people that grow up being the adult when they're 5. Well, not really 5, but, when they grow up being the adult more than the parents are. And that gives us responsibility that's not ours. Just check in with yourself now. See where you are. See the wishes that you had have been fulfilled. See how much you really have. And also see what you're carrying that's not yours. It's really not yours to carry. Gently just send it back. You can do the type of meditation with cord cutting. Or there's actually more gentle ones in which you don't necessarily cut a cord, but you're like, okay, what am I feeling here? What am I going through? Okay, what am I carrying? Oh, maybe I'm carrying, say, my mother's shame or my father's sense of responsibility for, I don't know, keeping this family together, whatever. And I inherited that, or I inherited the responsibility of taking care of them. You can have like a very solemn meditation in which you identify what it is that you carry that's not yours and decide to simply send it back. Send it back to your mom, to your dad, to your siblings, to your teachers, to whoever you've been carrying it for. And that's not going to harm them. It's theirs to carry anyway. And it's probably going to help them learn their own lessons. We can't learn their lessons for them. We need to learn ours, and this is part of yours. Beautiful. And this is taking you to this really privileged position of the Queen of Pentacles, being able to care for these guys. By letting go of other people's responsibility, you're able to bring in, like, to access. You're taking off some things from your shoulders, and you feel lighter, and you can finally access what's been hiding here by the moon, which is this part of you that feels disconnected, that feels separated, that feels rejected, that feels abandoned. We all have a part of that to a certain degree, some of us much more than others. But we can do this type of shadow work or an inner child work and get in touch with those parts of us that we've been rejecting in ourselves. The Queen of Pentacles here. You can nurture them. You are so abundant right now with all this work. You have so much space. This is really, really good energy and supportive for you to be able to feel safe to do this. Instead of like getting in there, just jumping in that energy, relate to that energy from this position of the Queen of Pentacles. Look at all the evidence here. You're doing really great. You're very emotionally mature right now. You've got what you needed. You are, you have the sun here, which is very positive energy. Let these two know as well. And you can let them know by sharing love, compassion, resources with them. Nourish them. There's this type of meditation. I think there was a Buddhist nun and therapist that came up with it, which is called feeding your demons. It could really work also with this moon, but I don't think it's only necessary with the fears and the demons, the parts of us that we're afraid of. It can work also with the parts of us that we've abandoned. And the way that works, you can just look it up actually. It's called feeding your demons. It's a type of visualization that you can do by yourself. And anyway, the way it goes is something like you can visualize what you want to work with. Say you want to work with your fear, and then you visualize your fear in front of you, and it's going to take a shape. or you give it a shape. And then you're going to, well, have a conversation, whatever, it goes for a while, and then you will ask it what it needs, basically. What does it need to feel less intense, less to let you breathe, for fuck's sake. And then you can literally give it that. You can imagine yourself, like your whole body is nourishing that part of you that's so terrified, and then the fear kind of like, recedes and calms down and gives you space. And it's a very interesting exercise to feel like you're actually using your own body to become a nectar and feed that part of you you're most afraid of, or that part of you that you've neglected or you've abandoned or you've been rejecting. It's that whole thing with like really nourishing. The thing is that you don't give anything from yourself. You are this real, you are love. That part, these parts of you need love. Love is nourishment for the soul, and that's what this part of you needs. Okay, this was a long reading. Okay, let's see. It's the wisdom of the heart from our brother Rumi. For you, dear Gemini. The courage of your love. Well, there you go. That's exactly it. And see, with the Ace of Cups, it's the love that's going to soothe this fear and bring back these two outcasts home. I'll read a little bit. This is number 38. You've done a lot of work to be where you are. I think you need to grant yourself some recognition. Okay, so the poem from Rumi says, love is without reason. Rationality is like a cane. Judgment needs a cane because it is blind. When love arrives, thought dies in its shadow. Love is the sunrise, while thought is only a flashing light. Thank God for that Mercury retrograde, that you get to experience a little bit of this. Okay, so I'm going to skip the introduction. I'm going to go to the guidance. So this oracle comes with particular guidance for you. You are not to give into less than what you are worth, or to the shaming stories of others of our culture that would cast your regal lion nature into the falsehood of beliefs that you have no choice or power. There's this thing with choices again. So you may be followed by whatever limiting beliefs that come from your fear, this societal pressure or whatever fear side. Shaming stories of others of our culture that would cast your regal lion nature into the falsehood of beliefs that you have no choice of power. You are not to give in to the idea that you are a victim and cannot free yourself from your suffering, or that you are less than any other. These are lies. These are petty deceptions so unworthy of you. Do not believe them. Roar out at them, roar like a lion does, at them until the weak glue holding them together melts under the fire of your holy breath, and they lie dismembered and powerless at your feet. Then intend that those bits and pieces in decay are lovingly returned to the Earth Mother, through whom they can be used to fertilize new life. This oracle comes with another message for you. You have a challenge before you, or that you are now moving through, but you have what is necessary to succeed and overcome it. No matter how long it has endured, or how big you have built that challenge up to be in your mind, no matter how unsolvable the issue appears to be, there is and shall be a victory beyond it, and it is imminent. This oracle has come to you to let you know you are empowered to succeed, you have what it is required within you to do it, and that the time for your victory is drawing near. So do not give up. Instead, do the sacred honoring ritual as needed. And when you feel so inclined, open your mouth and roar love from the very depths of your being. Create a sound so truth for yourself. Now, create a sound of truth for yourself. In that sound, you will hear the mightiest one of all roaring along with you, saying, "Yes, love, I am with you, and together we claim divine victory." So we roar. How we roar. Interesting. That's the whole thing of the courage. There is a practice. There's many practices that include the voice, but not just singing. Like trying to go to feel certain parts of your body and to create a sound to resonate with that, and that can help with the clearing of that energy and so on. It can be like sounds from your throat, something like I don't know, and now I'm feeling it in my belly. And if I'm feeling into my heart, how does it sound? Whatever, and you can work with stuff like this, create that sound of truth for yourself. Okay, I don't usually read the sacred honoring ritual, but since it was pointed at, I shall do that. You do it only if you feel like, right? Otherwise, just can replace it with whatever works for you. Say aloud, "I call on Rumi, lion of love, and my own wise higher self. I now choose to assert the dignity of my soul and the power of my heart. I release all lesser bonds based in fear and deception. I no longer need to hold on to these. I am ready for truth, and with unconditional love, I am supported, protected, and guided on my path to victory, held in guardianship by the unending power of love. So be it." If you feel the need to get down on all four and roar a bit, do it with relish. You have finished your honoring ritual. Take it as you please and let the rest go. I hope this makes sense to you, Gemini. It does sound a bit wild for the very composed, very heady Gemini, but that seems to be the guidance right now, to kind of let go of that part of you, because you don't need it now. You need to roar. Roar. Okay. I'm ending it. Oh my god. What do I want to say? Oh yeah. Well, have a wonderful March, Gemini. If you resonate with this building, my goodness. If you resonate with this reading, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you here soon.